Yes, network issues earlier on, but it's good to be back online now. Wow. Married Conversation 8.0. We're here. Married Conversation 8.0. It promises to be another interesting time as we converse on this interesting topic. We started it out last week, and it was a special edition I had with my wife looking at infidelity. But today, I want to take it further. I forgave, but I can't forget. Um, Resolving the hurt and the pain that are difficult to forget. And that's what we're going to be looking at today. I see you, Catchy Live, Ife underscore D, welcome. I see Radiant underscore Mind Route underscore Africa. Thank you for joining. Thank you for coming on board. I appreciate your coming. Thank you for getting on board. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Okay. Today, just like every other edition, promises to be an exciting one, and I look forward to your contributions also as we do this together today. So, welcome on board. I welcome each and every one of you for joining on tonight. Married Conversation 8.0. Every Friday, 8 p.m., we have this engagement where we talk about marriage and everything in between. And this particular night edition is the 8th edition. That's why we call it Marriage Conversations 8.0. And I look forward to an engaging conversation with you. I look forward to us sharing one or two thoughts here. Morgan Lamox join. Thank you for coming. I see you. Ibironke Abiola, thank you for coming. That's my wife. Ajala Travel. Okay now. Okay now. So how are you guys doing? How has your week been? How's it been? Do you want to chat with me? Good evening, Lanre. I see you. 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 How has your week been? Hello, friends. How has it been with you this week? Thank God it's another Friday. Anybody want to share with me how his week has been? Anyone there? Yeti Glow, I see you. Thank you for coming on board. Promises to be exciting as usual, and we're going to be looking at, as I said earlier on, infidelity. I forgave, but I can't forget. So we're going to be looking at this interesting topic. It's a sequel to what we had last week, and I know that many thoughts and ideas are flowing in your heads too that you want to share with me. And I'll be so glad to hear from you as well. So, how has it been? It's been workful. Workful. It's been great. Okay. Who else want to tell me? Cars Republic, I see you. Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Bago Kansali, Maggie, I see you. Thank you for coming on board. Okay, so how has it been? Somebody said it has been workful. Jochi, that's my super professional photographer. Yeah, and also the guy doing our videos also. Thank you. You've probably been seeing the Mr. Niger D series on Love Boulevard on this Instagram handle, where I've been trying to share one or two thoughts relating the characteristics of a living thing to the characteristics of a living and a thriving marriage. And it's also instructive, very interesting to know that the things that we can see, that we can learn from the living thing, the characteristics of the living thing, is also. I woke up one morning and that particular idea just started rolling in my head, um, like an eureka moment, where I was just thinking, it just struck me in the morning that you know that the characteristics of a thriving marriage or relationship is similar to the living thing, because marriage itself is a living reality. And if you can see the characteristics of living thing, a relationship that will thrive and will do well must also exhibit those characteristics. So that's what I've been doing. The series been doing on this same handle. Been dropping it at least one episode in 2 days or so. So without wasting much time, and once again, I want to welcome you to Marriage Conversations 8.0. I'm doing this alone here today, including you with you guys also. Okay, Car Republic, I see you. The week has been awesome, sir. Beautiful. I guess many money, too much money in your pocket, Ivy. Okay, Marco canceling. The week sped by. Whoa, wow. You know, when you're doing this beautiful thing, it seems the time is fast. Cornerstone, Egibi, I see you, Mr. Underscore Deniron. Remy, Rere, I see you. Hey, I see you. Thank you for coming on board. Okay, because this is a continuation of what we started last week, it's important that I just do a kind of brief recap, not in details, because today alone has enough gist that I want to have with you guys. Now, so last week we started out by looking at infidelity, why men and women cheat, and those are the things we looked at. We first of all defined what infidelity is, and after that we moved on. One major thing that struck me in the definition of fidelity was that the violation of a couple's assumed or stated contract or covenant regarding emotional and sexual exclusivity. That is, the failure in one's commitment to one's marriage partner. Infidelity undermines the foundation of marriage itself. We established that last week, and we also talked about one or few statistics. Then we also stressed that infidelity begins in the mind. It begins in the mind. And my loving wife last week also contributed our thoughts. And we looked at there are different forms of infidelity that can be categorized under, I think, basically two. Number one is a physical infidelity. That is when people get intimate and sexual, physically intimate. And the emotional. There are so many people that are in infidelity or commit infidelity, even though they've not gone under the cheat with the opposite sex or with someone outside their relationship, but already they've committed emotional infidelity. They begin to draw emotional support, meeting the emotional needs from someone other than their spouse, and that is a form of emotional. And there are different kind of it. Some people are so committed, they are so drawn to themselves, self gratification instead of spouse gratification. They've come to a point where they some are married to their jobs. The infidelity some people are committed is that emotional attachment to their businesses, to their careers, at the expense or at the detriment of their relationship with their spouse. And some also are committed to maybe to a vocation. Uh, Maybe some people are so carried away with sports, other things that anything at all that eat up our emotion to the extent that that relationship with that particular thing is affecting our relationship with our spouses. Those are what they call cyber affair, situation where people are having issues online and things like that. But I don't want to bore you with all that. I will talk about 3 hours of infidelity, and we talked about uh, rationalization. When people begin to see the signs and they begin to rationalize it, they begin to enjoy the attention from the opposite sex. Nothing will happen. You know that we all know when we begin to cross the line, but begin to rationalize it. We also have rendezvous. Rendezvous is when people begin to keep secret meetings and things that their spouses are not aware of. When we begin to do that, it's going to set us off and put us in a very fairly funny situation that can compromise our relationship. I'm also talk about resentment. When we have a lot of underlying issues, when people have not resolved underlying issues, it predisposes them to infidelity. Okay, so we went on and on and on. I don't want to take our time, but at least I've been able to share one or two thoughts from the things we looked at. And we talked about the effect of infidelity. The effect is massive, and that's where we are looking at today. We want to go a step further in that. So, thank you. Okay, I see KJJ official Paposki. Olaiwola Abiola, I see you. Oluwafunke Awopegba, George Taco Hall. I didn't see that very well. Thank you for coming on. That's my papo, Pastor KG. Thank you for joining. Okay, Ola Soji, thank you for coming. Easy Fashion Outfit, thank you for coming. I appreciate Ogunaike Oluwamayowa, thank you for coming. So today, I want to go straight into the introduction of what we want to look at today. So we are looking at infidelity. I forgave, but I can't forget. Resolving painful, or resolving the pain of hurt that is difficult to forget. That is powerful. Before I go on, resolving the pain that is difficult to forget. That's what we are looking at. I want to ask you, because it's a conversation and I want us to do this together. Which other pain do you think people experience in their relationship that is more painful than infidelity, or that is probably at the same level with infidelity? I'd like you to drop your thoughts. Do you think there's any other pain, maybe from your personal experience or from the things you've heard, you've seen, you've read, that you think is more painful than infidelity? Because whether we like it or not, infidelity is painful. It brings a lot of pain. In fact, I've had situations of people that when they discovered that their spouse was cheating on them, they developed health issues. Some even died in the process. I've had people that even committed suicide. Even though that's not what, those are not the things we encourage people to do. No. And that's why we're looking at this issue tonight. So I want you to talk to me. The pain of child loss. Okay, thank you, sir. Another painful thing that people experience. Actually, he has just looked into my diary of the wavelength, I don't know, of the spirit, so to say. Because that's one thing. Pain of neglect. Radiant underscore mind Ruth. Pain of neglect. True. I have pain of loss of a child. If there's any other thing truly that is more painful, or that's as painful as the pain of infidelity, is the pain of the loss of a child. Very true. Pain of neglect, verbal abuse, okay? Verbal abuse, yeah. Because when people talk down on their partner, on their spouse, what happens is that it destroys their self-esteem. That's another strong one. Okay? Another pain that you think is more painful or at the same level with pain of infidelity. Another one, very, very important that we look into this thing tonight. I'm trying to look at that. Okay. Oh, bam. Okay, let's get into this. I want to create this as a background to what I want to discuss with us tonight. Number one, there are plenty ways or many ways to hurt a relationship. Many ways to hurt a relationship. Infidelity just happened to be one of them. But the reality of the matter is that infidelity, the pain of infidelity is not just, okay, I also see some points coming in, physical abuse, ingratitude, okay, thank you. So you can see the things all those things you are dropping there, they are one of the other ways we hurt our partners in relationship. So there are many ways we hurt our partners. Infidelity that we're looking at tonight, just as we started last week, happened to be one of them. And it's very, very powerful to the extent that it's likened to even to the pain that people experience at times is likened to the pain of the loss of a child. And that's why, just as I told you last week, that it has been found through research that when people commit infidelity and people experience infidelity from their partner, they go through the 7 stages, if not everything, but most of the stages of grief. What is grief? Grief is a natural response of a man or of a woman to a loss. Now, when there's an infidelity, it's simply a loss of a relationship or a betrayal, so to say. So the same experience someone that has lost a child or lost a loved one experience. Number one, as I told us last week, is shock, a disbelief that come upon you, especially if you have a kind of relationship where you and your spouse happen to be good buddies, you are friends, you are into each other, you have each other's gist, everything seems okay, everything seems well, no sign of any problem at all. So when one of the parties now stray and there's an issue of infidelity, there's a way it eats badly that it seems or feels so much as bad as a loss of a child. So people now go through the 7 stages, some call it 5 stages of grief, but I have 7. Um, Number 1 is shock, a disbelief. The next one is denial. After denial, we have anger. Then from anger, go to bargaining. Ah, as if, this is not true. I just pray that this is not true. Then from bargaining, it goes on to guilt. People now begin to feel, is there anything that I've done? Is there anything that I've done that warranted this? But as I've established before, I was established again, there's no reason that is genuine enough for infidelity. And so also, you can't take the blame for the party that strayed. So we need to establish that. Very, very important. So when we say that infidelity is one of the many ways we hurt each other in a relationship, we are not saying this to hold brief for cheaters or for the one who betrayed us or betrayed his partner. This is never an excuse for a cheating party. No. But the reality of the matter is that many people who have committed affairs, infidelity in marriage, are actually in love with their original partners. That was one of the things we also discovered. Some people who cheated are not quote unquote serial cheaters, so to say. They are not necessarily liars, neither are they chronic betrayers. They are just simply humans who made catastrophic mistakes. Now, I know there are some people that have what I call maladjusted character, where cheating is a normal thing for them. I'm not for them tonight. I'm not talking about those people tonight. I'm talking about people that were just human at a point in their life, and for one reason or the other. Because most of the time, infidelity is at the root of it is a cry for a need that has not been met, a major need that has not been met, emotional need that has not been met. Even though that's not an excuse, because you are not just a reactional being, you are also a rational being. So no matter what might have happened in your relationship, infidelity will never be an excusable excuse. So it's very, very important we establish that. But we are saying that there are people that committed infidelity not because they are serial cheaters, not because they are chronic liars, not because they are terrible people. They are just being human at a point in their life, and they made a catastrophic mistake that can have deep scars upon them and on their loved ones. Mistake that their relationship or marriage may never recover from. Because we've had situations where people never recovered from infidelity. But oftentimes, infidelity are not committed by people wanting to be in a different relationship, but about wanting the relationship they are in to be different. There's just something that they are looking out for that made them stray. So, as living beings, we all evolve, and so also our relationships. So, marriages as human being evolves. Mr. Najadid, I was talking about, there's a particular episode that talk about growth. Now, as people progress in their relationship, in their marriage, human beings will evolve because we're living beings. So also our relationship is expected to grow. So as this begin to happen, at a particular point in time, either or one of the party is not growing or not meeting up the new reality of that relationship, especially as relate to the other party. And we also know that because as human, there are different kind of people. There are some people, even if you cut your head and give to them, they still would do what they want to do anyway. So I'm not talking about such people. I'm talking about people that along the way, as they started evolving, they started having this gap in their relationship. And that is why we're looking at this tonight. That we can't truly come to the place of true healing until we come to the place of understanding what initiated, what activated the affairs, what's it called? The infidelity in the first place. Okay? So, very, very important to establish that. So, when people start evolving in their relationship, they started changing, life reality begin to happen, and one of the parties seems not to be measuring up, seems not to be coming to the table. Even though, as I said earlier on, it's still not an excuse. Okay, let me give you an instance. Someone now got into a level where is interacting with people at very high level of intellectual capacity. And here come the wife or the husband also. That is not, maybe probably lost his job and he has just resigned to fate. He's not doing anything, he's not bringing leadership to the table. He's just sucking and just not growing, not just looking out for a better way to improve him herself, you know. And the other party has been doing everything, and this other party just refused to change, refused to become a better person. A time will come, the other party will begin to find solace somewhere else. Because naturally, we are emotional beings. And everybody gravitates. We talk about the issue of verbal abuse the other time. When somebody is of the habit of always talking down on the spouse, and this spouse is finding validation and affirmation elsewhere, it's natural that she will or he or she will gravitate towards that source where that validation is coming from, where that support is coming from. Marriage fundamentally should provide a fantastic support system. But when marriage has now become a place where that support system is not gotten, in one way or the other, people still interact with other people, whether in their places of work, in their places of business and things like that, even in church, in religious places. And they begin to find, at times you hear people say spiritual leader have some affair with some people. At times, most of those things were not planned. Out of being there for people, one thing lead to the other. Are we justifying all that? No. But what we are trying to say is that human being evolve. Our needs are there and they're enormous. And when we don't play our role as a spouse to meet those needs, it makes people to go haywire, even though it's not justifiable. But what we're trying to say tonight is that these changes and needs that we experience, if they are unmet and these needs are prolonged for so long and these needs are not being met, and at one point or the other, another person come into the picture, it predisposes the spouse or one spouse to infidelity. So an affair will automatically end some relationship, while others will only tolerate the betrayer, never regaining their previous state. So one of the things that affairs and infidelity will bring into a relationship is that it can be the end of that relationship, because it goes straight to the very foundation, to the very core, a major pillar of the relationship, which is trust. And when that happens, when trust is eroded, it takes a lot for such a relationship to regain itself. Some, for one reason or the other, some may say maybe because of our children, they want to keep staying in the relationship without addressing the issues, without coming to the table to deal with those issues one after the other. How did we get there in the first instance? What happened? The relationship just become a relationship of convenience and connection and thorough, how do I put it? Connection and genuine love is no longer on the table. So for one reason or the other, maybe for some shared shared goals like parenting, taking care of the kids, and all, don't want families, avoidance of stigma. You don't want people to hear that we are divorced or we are separated. So some people remain in that relationship. It now become a marriage of convenience without addressing the issue. And for some people, the affair would be the needed catalyst to open the their eyes to the issues that have driven them apart, where they have taken each other for granted, both on the part of the offender and the offended. The affair then provides them with an opportunity to grow individually and together or collectively, reconnecting them in a way that is richer, stronger, closer, and more sustainable. Even though this is most of the time, it's not a difficult place to arrive. And that is why we're looking at this, because one of the things that will stand between you coming to that point, that was supposed to break you apart, becoming a thing that will bring you together, is ability to resolve the pain and the trust that has been destroyed in the course of this the infidelity. So, in resolving the pain, I want to share one or two thoughts and also speak generally about this matter as regards going forward. So, number one, first of all, the first question: you can't begin the journey of restoration, of healing, in case of infidelity, if you have not settled the following. Number one, where do things stand at the moment? So it's not just enough to say you are sorry to your spouse or to expect your spouse to forgive you. It's important to go back, both of you, and ask, where do we stand? Where do things stand at the moment? Is the affair really over or on hold due to the discovery? Because a lot of people, they are feeling bad because they were discovered, because their infidelity, they were caught. If they were not caught, they will still remain in it. So before you can come to the place of healing, you first of all want to settle the fact that, is this issue really over? Are you cutting off from this third party that have become an intruder into a relationship? Because if truly it's over, then the privacy of the offender, the one who went out to commit infidelity, is lost, at least for the time being, until he can regain his trust again. Because now the offended is justified not to trust you again. Is justified to feel paranoid. Is justified to be suspicious of your movement. So it is to be expected that the one that is at the receiving end, that the one that was cheated upon, will be paranoid, will be suspicious, will be insecure, and also will be doubtful. So the offender must come to a time with, look, if truly, because the first thing to settle is, have we really, is the affair with the third party outside is really over, or is it because I've been caught? So if it truly is over, then fine. The next thing you will face is the paranoid attitude of your spouse that has been cheated upon. If at all, for example, some people may want to move out of the house. And you need to understand that this person will need a lot of time to heal. And some may remain in the same house, but you need to can imagine what the atmosphere would be like. Secondly, is there a genuine regret or remorse? Because what even makes it more painful? Because some people just do it and say, and so what? And so, that is another shocker. But if you really want to see a place where people can come to the place of healing and can set the healing process in motion, you need to come to this second, address the second issue. Is there a genuine regret or remorse? Without this, true healing and forgiveness cannot begin. So you want to be sure your partner needs to know that truly you have come to the point that you are remorseful, you regret your action. And thirdly, do you both genuinely want the relationship? Do you both genuinely want your marriage? Because this is what will also inform the following steps. Because it's not an easy place to be, honestly. I imagine something that is similar to the loss of a child, the pain. And I think if people would think deeply about this thing, you will know that the pain it will cause you to settle whatever underlying issue between you and your spouse that will have warranted you to go out there and commit infidelity. The pain it will cause you to go through the process, for example, maybe going for counseling, going for therapy, you can't compare that pain to the pain of infidelity. So you want to ask yourself at this point, are we still genuine? Are you still interested in this marriage? Are we still interested in this marriage? I'm of the school of thought that infidelity, as bad as it may sound, and as it is truly, should not end a relationship in marriage, especially marriage. But people are at different levels of their life. Their life realities differ. But in counseling, in professional counseling, we try as much as possible to work with your objective, what actually you want to achieve. But when people come, we help them to look at the pros and the cons, the advantages and the disadvantages of whatever decision they want to take. So it is important to be honest with yourself. If truly you really want this marriage, then you may need to want to still listen to the things I want to say. So you need to be honest. You may need a therapy or a professional counselor to help you explore the issues and bring it into proper perspective. So that, because you need to answer that question going forward. And you also need to answer it, even for those that don't want to continue such a marriage, they need to answer it because they need to still probably need to answer it because their healing depends on it. Their healing depends on it. You need to come to a point, okay, fine, because even if you don't want to continue that relationship or marriage, which I don't advocate, even though it's a very bitter pill for many people to swallow that have experienced it, having experience the pain and the bitterness that infidelity can bring. But for you to have your sanity, you need to be able to answer this question, because from there, you can now know how to move on. Because at this point in time, your mental health is also at stake. Then number 4, if your decision is to stay in that marriage, how do you forgive, forget, and move forward will now be the next thing you want to look at. So, number 1, if you have decided to stay in that marriage, the next thing you want to look at is that you want to do is admit that you don't have to forget. This is very, very important. You need to admit to yourself that you don't have to forget, at least not in the immediate. In fact, through research finding, it has been discovered that it takes an average of 18 months to 2 years for someone to be able to come out of the pain of infidelity. This is a scientific research finding through research that, generally speaking, people move between the range of 18 months to 2 years before the pain of infidelity fade or got reduced in their heart. So, very, very important. So, you need to admit that you don't have to forget, at least not in the immediate. But you can remember a past hurt without it having a hold on you, without experiencing the pain afresh. And that is where this is supposed to lead us. There comes a point. How do you know that truly you have really been able to forgive this person? Is when you get to a point, you now remember, because we are also created as cognitive beings. We are created with a brain. The human brain has capacity to store information. In fact, at a point, we throw some information into our subconscious. Now, we have capacity to remember. That's why we have a brain. That's why we are a living being. So if that happens, whether you like it or not, there are some things that will serve as triggers that will remind you of this situation. So you can't run away from that reality. But you need to admit to yourself, look, for the fact that I'm going to forgive does not mean I need to forget. Also, you are not even God. God is the only one that says he will forgive and forget. So as human, we have the capacity, naturally, biologically, because there are some things that can be like, that can serve as triggers, that can bring those thoughts back into our minds, that can bring those thoughts. But how do you know that truly you are healed and these things does not, is that when you remember, it does not bring so much pain or animosity and anger as it used to in the beginning when the issue recently happened. So very, very important. Okay, so if that must be the case, we need to ask ourselves, how did the affair become possible? Because for healing and forgiveness to be possible, there has to be an understanding of how both parties may have contributed into the problem. Now, this is a very, very difficult place to be, and you may probably need time, a lot of time, because to break the hold of the hurt or pain, you will need time. You will need reflection. And you also need brutal, honest, and hard conversations with your partner, with your spouse. You can't run away from this. So time is of essence. I've told you it has been found through research that it will take average of 18 months to 2 years for people to actually come out of infidelity, the pain and the hurt of infidelity. Depending on the person, there could be some exceptions, but this is the range that research finding has brought forward. But during that period, that does not mean that for those 18 months or 2 years, you're going to be bitter all your life, you're going to be crying and sulking. No. We're talking about the effect. It's like when you're bitten by a mosquito and it deposits a malaria parasite, Plasmodium, to your bloodstream. Even after using anti-malaria drug, it's going to serve its course. The fever and everything is going to run its course, rather. It's going to run its course, even though you have now introduced a medication to destroy the effect. That Plasmodium is still going to run its course. So what we are trying to say that even to go to 18 months, 2 years, thereabout, for the effect to come to really leave you, even though you can still remember, but within that period, in as much you have chosen to work on your relationship, to stay in that relationship, you need time, you need a lot of reflection, You need brutal and honest, what we call hard conversation with your partner, and also strange commitment from both parties. Another thing you also need, will probably need, is support system, and most importantly, from a professional counselor, so that they can guide you. Most of the time, bringing family members into this kind of picture will run the issue wild, because the family sentiment, they say blood is thicker than water, will come to play. So it's important that you rather seek a professional help than family involvement. Okay? So if that is the case, when we talk about brutal, honest, and hard conversation with your spouse, what it means is that you want to know how this infidelity was made possible in the first place. So healing and forgiveness, for it to be possible, there has to be an understanding of how both parties have contributed into this situation. So what were the things missing in the relationship? And how can there be changes? These are the things you want to think. This is not excusing the offender, as I said earlier on, but rather seeking space in which the relationship can grow. If you handle it very well, it will rather bring you back together stronger, especially if the strayed spouse is now serious and now committed to see that such does not repeat itself. Now, you must let your energy turn to an honest and open exploration of the motive behind the affair. It will hurt to hear those things that will be said, because the person that has been cheated upon will also now discover that some one or two things that must have happened on our own part, or on his own part, that might have predisposed is the cheater to have done what he has done, or he or she to have done what he or she has done. So, but it's not a blame game. It's about responsibility. That is, ability to respond to whatever the underlying issues were or might have been. So there cannot be an empowered, effective response if there is no awareness around what drove the affair and what needs to change in the relationship. So healing will happen if both parties can own their part in this situation. Many hard conversations will need to happen. For example, some people have had issue of sexless marriage, where it has been a major issue for the straying spouse to have a fulfilling sexual life. You know, during the edition of Marriage Conversation, when we talk about sexless marriage, you remember we talked about, for those of us that were part of it, it's still on this handle. Let me check it out later on after this. That one of the reasons why we have sexless marriage is because of unmatched sexual desires. And when one party still wants and the other is not being there, it can go a long way and also predispose the other party, especially if the person has some personal issues, maybe for personal discipline and the likes. And we all have our elastic limits. And when people cross the elastic limit, as human, they do things that ordinarily even themselves may not have believed that they could have done such things. So the offended, that is the person that was at the receiving end, that has been cheated upon, has the right to be hurt. And that's what we're talking about. That he or she has the right to be angry. You have the right to be scared. You have the right, at times, even to be paranoid, because now you want to be sure, because that person, the offender, has lost his privacy. No more, you want to, no more passwording his phone, his emails. You can't just say I'm somewhere and you're no longer there, because now you have to regain the trust that you have lost. So you and at this point, all information must be put on the table. You have to begin to make yourself trustworthy again. And this information that you will share also during this hard conversation, that these are the things you've done, these are the things I've done, these are the things you did, this is what prompted me to have done this also. All this information are the information that are needed to make the relationship work again. Hear this. Somewhere along the way, the person who had the affair and the person he or she had the affair with had information about your relationship that you didn't have. And that's why it's important to have these hard conversations, brutal honesty. It's not to justify the person that have gone to commit the crime. No. But it's so that you can have a space and another reason to grow. Because when you come to this point where you are now open to share the reasons, not saying it from the place of justification of your error, but looking for a place. And for the other party too, that say, look, I've been hurt, I've been disappointed, I've been betrayed, but I want to at least find a space to grow. So you want to find some good reasons, because until you understand why the affair happened in the first place, you can't even begin your journey to your healing. The reason why a lot of people are still hurting is because they still cannot fathom why it happened. They believe probably they've done the best possible, humanly possible. And why will my spouse still cheat on me? So there are information that the person he or she cheated with has that you do not have. So during this hard conversation, this information is very, very important. So these were vital information that fueled the affair in the first place. It sustained it and drained your relationship with your spouse. For example, some men will go back to their office, they complain to their secretary how their wife has not been satisfying them sexually, how they've been having emotional issues, how they've been distanced in their day-to-day relationship, how the wife has not been meeting, how her husband has been doing this, how the husband has been verbally abusing her. All those negative things happening in the relationship, underlying issues happening in their relationship. Then the party outside begin to hear such information, now begin to play to our own strength, to negate and to tell the other party that, look, I'm a better fit into this. And before you know it, one thing lead to the other. This is the information you need also to know. You need to know for your relationship to get back on ground, to get back on track. So the offender needs to critically look with honesty, courage, and open heart at what he or she was getting from the affair outside that the spouse inside was not giving to him or her. Okay? It's not enough to just say, because of my deficiency, blah, 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 because of my personal flaw. Fine, we know you are flawed. You've committed a big error. But you also need to be frank. You need to be open, especially when the one that has been offended is ready for healing, and she's ready, or he is ready to take that journey. It's going to be a very painful one, because nobody loves to be told the truth, honestly speaking. But this is the journey to healing. As you begin to unfold, and that's why I said earlier on that you may probably need a counselor, professional counselor, to help you navigate through these murky waters, this situation, so that it does not degenerate. Okay, so that being said, another thing you need to do to heal, it is very crucial to take charge or take captive of the painful thoughts that you are going through. Now you want to work towards healing after coming to the point that you have decided, okay, look, I want to do this, and you have admitted that, fine, I'm not God that can forget. I can still remember, but I want to get to a point that when I remember, the pain does not hold me captive anymore. So the next thing you want to do is that you want to come to a point where you take charge and take captive of those painful thoughts. And this is where consideration for your mental health comes to play. How do you do this? At times you are somewhere, because when somebody has been cheated upon, even after you've discussed, you are going through the process, once in a while this thought will hit you hard. Can you imagine? My husband cheated on me. And it even becomes more difficult when the illicit affair now produces a child outside wedlock. It can be very, very devastating. Seeing the child alone is a trigger. And this is where your mental health comes to play. Now, especially for you that have decided to stay in that relationship or in that marriage. So what happens? When this happens, there are a few things you can do. For example, you can take a deep breath. A deep breath. A very deep one. Because taking a deep breath, at least 3 deep breaths, and in through your nose and out through your mouth, can at that point distract or distort your thought and give you some from a kind of new lease of life. Honestly speaking, being cheated upon or experiencing infidelity is not a good place to be. And that's why it is important that we must pay attention to each other. We must stop taking each other for granted. We must pay attention to our emotional needs. We must pay attention. We must be sensitive to our spouses. We must be at the lookout for our spouses. Very, very important, because it's not a good place to be. So one of the things you want to do to take charge of your mind is one of the exercises you can do is mindfulness. What is mindfulness? Tracking the first thoughts Maybe, for example, your husband is not picking his call and he has been the cheater, and your mind goes haywire. He has gone, no, law, he don't go again. Only go anywhere in day now. The first thing you want to do in mindfulness, you want to take the first thought and lock it up. No, giving the benefit of that, probably is in the toilet. He will pick my call. He will call me when it's available. But when you do not track that thought and take it at the root, what happens is that thought begin to fester. 30 minutes. Hey, 1 hour. Only God knows what happened. And when that happens, number one, your own mental health is destabilized. A lot of people go, as I told you earlier on, those 7 stages of grief that people go through when they discover infidelity: shock, or disbelief, denial, anger, bargaining. Then people go into what they call depression. People go to depression, and eventually some people go, okay, anger, bargaining. I think there's still one other one. Yes, guilt. After bargaining is guilt. After guilt, depression. After depression, then people now go to acceptance. When they now accept the deed has been done, and when after acceptance, then hope, a ray of hope and restoration can come. So, but if you want to use mindfulness, tracking your thought, being conscious of the things you allow to go on in your head, very, very important. Then another thing you can do is journaling. You want to just pour out your thought and your emotion on paper. You can pick your phone and just do an audio journaling. Just speak. Because in as much you see, one thing about emotions don't go away until you do something about them. And that's why until you find another avenue to channel it to somewhere. So channel that emotion. Get a diary, get a jotter, and just journal. You'll be shocked what kind of blessing it will be. In fact, some people that may experience such thing later, your journal, you experience through those trying period, may be a kind of solution for them. Another thing is see a counselor. Do what we call talk therapy. Go see a counselor. You need somebody to help you that will not judge you, that will listen to you, that is trained, that will be empathized with you, that has been trained to see you first as a human being, and be able to listen to you so that you can channel the pain and the emotion that you are going through. Okay? So your pain over time will also diminish as you focus on the more positive aspect of your marriage. So this time around, you also want to fill your thoughts with those good side or attribute of your spouse. Even though he has heard, you want to focus on those beautiful things, moments to share together. Okay? Knowing that, also, as I said earlier on, the research has shown that between 18 months to 2 years to heal, it takes between 18 to 2 years to heal from the pain of infidelity. Okay? So knowing that the pain isn't going is not going to go overnight. The understanding that this pain is not going to go overnight can be very, very helpful. And knowing that it also will not last forever, that it will eventually end, is also a valuable information for the healing process. So, no matter the pain you are going through now, it's a matter of time, especially if you will do some of the things we have shared and probably seeking help for counseling. Another thing you need to know is that there is need to grow in your own relationship. In your own personal relationship, there's need to grow in your own relationship so that you accept yourself, you celebrate yourself. Because one of the things that happen to people when they go through infidelity issues, crisis, is that they begin to feel, am I not good enough? They begin to have this body image, shaming themselves, self-esteem. Because one of the things infidelity does that it destroys self-image, the self-esteem, self-confidence of the other party. It makes them feel as if they are not good enough. That's why I talk about guilt the other time, and lead some people to depression. I cannot imagine somebody already having some element of inferiority complex before, or having some personal self-esteem issues before. Now, it makes it worse, honestly speaking. So, there's need during this period for you to grow in your relationship with your inner self, to find solace. Some people find support system through faith, environment of faith, and religion, where they hear the word of God that encourages them. Some have friends that has true support system, genuine friends, not people that will make how do I put it now? Make a news of your situation and now begin to talk about everybody in the whole town like a radio. No. So people find solace in friends, supportive family members that are, because I'm always careful when it comes to family member infidelity, because by the time you have resolved the matter, they will keep looking at your spouse. People don't forget things. It's only God that forgets. People don't forgive, rather. It's only God that forgives and forget. People, even after you forgiving your spouse, people that you have shared your situation with that do not have the maturity or the understanding to be able to deal with this matter, they won't forgive him or forgive her. And that is why it's important that as much as possible, you probably want to look for you want to look for support system through professional aid or other people that can support you, that you know they have the capacity to do that. Okay, then number 4, if the healing must happen, if you must come to the point where you are no longer held captive by the pain of infidelity, then you must choose to forgive. You must choose to forgive. There's no two-way about it. You must choose to forgive. Without choosing to forgive, you can't come to the place of true healing. Very, very important. Very, very important. And there are people that have gone through this and they have survived. And their marriage is still intact. In fact, they became better off. They became like 5 and 6. So, even though our reality differ, but if it has happened for some people before, it's an attestation that it can happen to you too. Especially when the offender is ready to take responsibility. And the offended is also ready to, even though painful, but ready to walk the journey towards healing. Okay. So, I want to hear from you so that I can, before I bring this to a wrap. So, I don't know if I have any question in the light of these things I've shared, or you also have some contribution. I would love to hear from you also in the light of the things I've shared. It's very, very important that we learn from each other. So, any other person that you want to say 1 or 2 things about this, I'd like to hear from you. I'd like to hear from you. Hello, is marriage conversation? Oh, I see Mommy Mo, right fit married. Thank you, Ma, for coming on board. It's good to have you, Ma. Tosin Ademefo, thank you for coming. I see you. Olashini Israel, I see you. Who else is here? Latifat, am I right? Yeah. Ruth Anyolaja, Care underscore space. Bo underscore Yek, I see you. Zipward, Zigela, I see you. Efficiency, Oluwagbemi Ayesa, I see you. Yeah. Yeah, so I want to hear from you. You can send me a chat. If you don't want to send your question in the open floor, you can send me a chat. Okay. So, and if you want to drop it in the public space here, I'll be glad to hear from you. Honestly speaking, infidelity is not a good place. It's not a good thing to experience. As I've established earlier on, and also from the thoughts you shared, that it's likened to somebody. One of the things that has been likened to is likened to the loss of a child. So people grieve because it's a loss also. It's a loss of trust, loss of what's it called? Loss of relationship, loss of companionship, because suddenly a crack, especially as I said earlier, especially for those kind of couple. There's some couple ordinarily they've been having issues, but there's some couple that they didn't even see any sign at all, and boom, it just happened. So to the offender, your responsibility is to make your spouse, the offended, feel safe again by being accountable. You have to be more accountable for as long as it takes for that spouse, the person that has been offended, to trust again. It's not going to come easy. It's not going to come cheap. Very, very important. And to the person that has been betrayed also, that has been offended, it's important to know that you need to forgive yourself. You need to forgive yourself. Some maybe say, is it because of this? Is it because of that? No. You need to forgive yourself. You can't take responsibility for another person's bad behavior, irrespective of what had happened. But going forward to instigate the healing process, there's need to have hard conversations and to need to look through this situation. It may not happen immediately. You may need some time for yourself to brood over this matter. But if you've really chosen and decided to stay in that relationship, then you need to be able to get to the root of the matter. What, in the first place, set the pace, set the stage or platform for that thing to happen. Then you need to let go of shame. It's not to your shame, even though a lot of people feel like that, and you need to let go of it. You need to give yourself room and time to process and to forgive, and need to be patient. It's going to take time. And as you look into this situation, over time, you come to a place where you can say, wow, we've been able to go through this and we have come out well. Every affair will be redefined. Every affair rather will redefine the relationship. There's no doubt about that. It will redefine it. There will be hurt, there will be anger, and both parties will feel lonely and lost for a while. But if your relationship is worth fighting for, there will be room for growth and discovery. And if you will seek professional help, you will discover that what's supposed to destroy your home will eventually become a point or of solid reunion, where you now come to a point where you can trust each other again and be better partner to your spouse. And when this happens, your relationship or marriage become better for it. It's not a good place. It's not going to be an easy thing. It's not a good place to be. But this is part of life. Life happens. These things do happen. People do experience this. But we've also discovered that when people process this thing well, it may take time because we are all different and our reality differ. Their relationship can become better off. And that is why seeking professional help, especially as it relates to your mental health, that's one of the major reasons you need to seek professional help, and also to help you put the whole issue in proper perspective and bring clarity to the matter. It matters a lot. So that's what I have for you tonight. But I still looking forward to hear from you. I want to hear from you. I'm looking out for the questions. I don't want to mix the question like I did the other time. Okay. Okay, Ejiro, I love the way you break it down. Thank you. This is amazing, sir. Thank you. Family members don't forget. True. Family members don't forget. Even when God has forgiven, you yourself have forgotten. Family members don't forget. So most of the time, it's better you try to resolve such matter through what's it called, a professional. Thank you, sir, for this wonderful session. Okay, thank you for enlightening us. Okay, thank you, ma. Staying in the relationship is hard work, sir. True. That's why I said earlier on that nobody is saying that it's going to be easy. I know it even become more complicated when the other party, the offender, is not even showing any remorse. That's a different kettle of fish entirely. It's not even showing any remorse, or it's a serial cheater. That's a different kettle of fish, and that is why you want to look into this issue critically and be able to fight. And that's what I said earlier, I'm advocating for the issue of mental health. People need to, at times, people may need to separate for a while, because we've also seen people just going out of their mind, wake up. I don't know if you heard about the story. It trended for a long period of time in our country about a lawyer. I think she's a lawyer, or maybe the husband is a lawyer. I think they're both lawyers. The woman, at a point, because she was feeling the husband is cheating on her, bought new set of knives, and while the man was sleeping, cut off his manhood and stabbed him several times. And I think she even stabbed herself, but she was rescued. She didn't die. The man died. We've heard about another story of one of the chieftain of the PDP, PDP, whose son was murdered by his own wife. And it was out of jealousy of probably suspecting maybe the husband is having an affair. So people do lose their mind when it comes to issue of infidelity. It's a major loss. You can imagine the pain people go through when they've lost a child, and liken it to the pain people go through infidelity. And now knowing that the man you've professed your love to, and especially for those that, in fact, when I heard the story of a woman that when she heard that her husband cheated, and she just, she lost her voice, and they rushed her to the hospital, and she never recovered, and she died. The shock was so much. She had a cardiac arrest, so to say. So this is not an easy place to be. It's not. And no wonder the scriptures, for those of us that are Christians, even says that divorce is not permitted except for the sin of infidelity, of immorality, of adultery. You can see how grievous this matter is. Even though the scripture also advocates the place of mercy, the place of forgiveness, but that does not to say that you need to just throw it under the carpet, sweep the issue under the carpet without addressing the matter. So the reason why a lot of people hold the hurt and the anger and the bitterness, resentment for so long is because they just say, okay, forgive him. To err is human, to forgive is divine. without addressing the matter, without getting to the root of the matter. Why did you do this? I'm sorry, it's the devil. Why? Not allowing them, giving them the information, what happened, what led, or what the relation, what has transpired that initiated this particular move of yours to go outside. Alone will not allow the person to heal properly. Grieving, even when people have lost a loved one, takes a lot of time. You may cry if you need to cry, weep if you need to weep. It's part of the process because emotions don't go away until you do something about it. You must find an outlet. I talked about journaling the other time. I talk about finding support system, true support system, especially in professional counseling. So these are the things that are very, very important for people to know. So it's not going to be easy to stay in such a relationship. And going forward, you may need to seek professional help because it will help you to simplify what the issues are and be able to, because it's not just about healing now, it's about also going forward. It's about addressing the original issues that prompted the affair in the first place. And that's why going for professional help will be a great one. Okay. Let me see. I think I'm having questions here. Okay, how should I handle it for professional help? I want to remain, but my unfaithful spouse does. Okay, let me take one after the other. How should I handle it for professional help? Okay, now that's why we are doing this, throwing it into the public for people to understand that there is help. A lot of people do not know that there are professional counselors such as myself, like Mommy Mo, like Dr. Tolu, like those people like Francis, those people that are Nigeria, they like to soon be back. And most people do not know that there's help available. So I understand that it has often been found from our research finding that 7 out of 10 people will go to their spiritual head, their imam, their pastor, their family head, and whatever in situations like this. In as much I do not have any problem with that, especially going to your spiritual head, but most of the time, they may not have the required skill, professional skill, to help in that regard, to be able to address some issue. I know that in this part of the world, we are so spiritual, we are so religious. And because most of the time, our life goes in the direction of our value system and our belief system. So people do that. But it will also be advisable that you seek professional help. Those that have been, in fact, there are people that are specially trained to be infidelity experts when it comes to that. So, but what am I trying to say? Seek help. Olaiwola Abiola, me talking to you, I'm a certified professional counselor, certified mental health counselor. Generally, I was first of all trained to be a general mental health counselor to address any counseling issue, any mental health issue as far as counseling is concerned. But I've now decided to specialize in relationship and marriage counseling. So we offer such. You can send me a DM if you need such. I want to remain, but my unfaithful spouse doesn't want to go for counseling. That's a major one. That is a major one. It means both of you are not on the same page. And that will require, first of all, I will encourage that you as an individual seek help first. Seek help because your mental health, you need to be in the right mental state of health to be able to even handle this whole matter. That's why I said earlier on that when the other party is not even remorseful, is a serial cheater, that is a very, very terrible place to be. So you want to first of all seek help for yourself to clear your own head, to be able to get the issue in proper perspective and be able to know the next step of action to take. So I will encourage such a person not to wait until that unremorseful cheater is ready to make amends, that you go seek professional help. And when you get to professional counseling, you'll be able to look into the matter and analyze it and know the next step or the way to go. Because the reality of every person differ. The reality of each and every one of us differ from the other. So when you get to the counseling session, you'll be able to analyze, able to help you to explore and diagnose what the issues are and know the next step to take. Can a woman forgive the husband who has afflicted her with HIV? See, that's one of the reasons why I talked about going for professional help in the first place, especially for a serial cheater that has not come to term. Because you also want to look about your own safety. You want to think about your health, your safety. So at times, just like okay, let me bring an issue. For example, the issue of domestic violence. where your life is at stake, where there's threat to life. This can also be because if somebody has gone to contact, what's it called, an incurable disease, your life is also at stake. So you want to go for counseling as soon as possible to be able to clear your head and know the next step to take. Maybe you need to separate for a while to be able to resolve the matter. Okay, can a woman forgive the husband who has infected her with HIV? I heard of a recent story where the lady writes a suicidal thought on her status. How do one console that kind of a victim? I said earlier on that one of the major things that infidelity brings to the table that it affects your mental health. And you can imagine this kind of state if inflicting the person with an HIV. This lady needs counseling. If you are the friend of such a person, you want to encourage the person to go seek professional help so that, first of all, it can save her and bring her back to the right state of mind so that those suicidal thoughts, because if she commits suicide, the man that has committed the offense will still live his life. So the question is, what do you stand to gain if you commit suicide? But the person that wears the shoes knows where it pinches. And that's why the person needs help so that he can be able to clarify his thought and whatever is going on in her head to be able to come out of it. So such a person, you may do well to even pay for a session for that person to go seek help and be able to sort them. Such a person needs to seek help, go seek medical help. And being HIV positive is not the end of life. People have been living with with being HIV positive for years, and yet taking their medication, their antiretroviral drugs and whatever, managing it, and they are still alive today. And that's why I talked about the issue of counseling. It's in counseling that you'll be able to put all those issues in proper perspective and tick the boxes as required and as demanded. Okay, this couple has 3 to 4 kids. These are the issues that during counseling that you have to bring to the table, because you want to look at all the different angles and dimensions that point to this relationship and how to come to the right decision as for you as a person, because your own decision may not be the best decision for another person going through the same thing, because our realities differ. Okay, so first thing first, she needs to get help, seek help, because your life is your life. You have your own life to live, and infidelity should not be the end of your life. In as much should not be the end of the marriage, but most importantly, should not be the end of your life. Should not be the end of your own ambition. Should not be the end of your own dream. Should not be the end of your own sanity. Even though it comes with a heavy blow, but you can come to a point where you can say, look, my life is my life. I need to come to a point of realization that I've still got something to do with my life. And you'll be shocked. A lot of people have come out of this misery and it has become like a ministry to them, because eventually they walked through the whole process and their pain eventually became a point of gain for them, and also helping others going through the same situation in later years in life. Okay, any other question or any other comment? I would like to hear from you too. Okay. Wow, it's after now already. Hey, wow, I didn't even know. So if there are no other question, any other comment, I want to take at this point in time, I want to appreciate you for making Marriage Conversation 8.0 a success. I want to appreciate you for your comment. And if you still have questions, you can send me a DM, love.boulevard. I want you to go ahead and follow us, love.boulevard. Tell somebody to please follow us. Next week, every Friday, we do this Marriage Conversation, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. But now we're already shooting out of time. Most of the time we're shooting out of time, but I don't want to prolong this matter any further. So I want to take this opportunity to appreciate each and every one of you. As I said earlier, you can send me a DM, and I also want you to go out there, tell someone, follow us on love.boulevard so that we can keep doing this together. And until next week, when I come your way again with another interesting topic, I want you to keep enjoying your marriage, keeping hope alive, keep loving your husband, keep loving your wife, and run away from every appearance of evil. Let infidelity not be mentioned in your relationship. And peradventure, if you've gone through it, you can seek help. Help is available. It shouldn't be the end of your life, and shouldn't be the end of your relationship. I remain your brother and friend in the school of marital bliss, Olaiwola Abiola. Thank you for making today another wonderful time. God bless. Bye for now.